Hello, my name is Tara Kachaturoff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today we have as our special guest Richard Rayos, who is the inventor, president, and CEO of Rayomar Enterprises. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tara.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the program today because you're an inventor, an entrepreneur, and you have a really interesting product. But before we jump into what you've invented, which is a type of fastener with all sorts of uses, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, Tara, in the past 18 years, 15 of those years, I worked as a sales engineer. And what that means is I sold automation components all the way from, servo motors to stepper motors to controllers to full turnkey machinery, robotic type systems, assembly, inspection, vision, using machine vision, as well as some robotic welding and robotic deburring.
Now, what industry were you selling those in?
Actually, I was selling it in automotive, but my largest customer was a semiconductor company up in the Boston area. I've also sold to medical as well as to some defense type industries and some other esoteric industries like a geophysicist who had some really funky robotic machine he wanted me to help him design. And what did you study in school? What's your background in terms of Actually,
education?
Business administration is my background, but I started out as pre-med, so I guess I have a proficiency, mechanical proficiency, and a little bit technically minded. So going from advertising sales to robotic automation sales was not a big leap. Actually, one of my customers asked me to be a sales guy.
Really?
He's a sales engineer, yes.
That's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it all started, yes.
Now, and then somewhere along the way, you decided to start a company. So you went from working for other people to working for yourself. How did you make that transition? I mean, where did you come up? I mean, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in your company, and then how did you get to that point?
Well, it's a long story, but I've always been entrepreneur-minded, so even when I've had jobs, I've always had little side things going on here and there. But, in one of my traveling, when I had a lot of windshield time as a sales engineer, I had one of those days, dealing with engineering and, people who want you to do big things and then, want to say, hey, I don't only want to pay this much for it. So I was having one of those, oh my goodness moments. And I was just thinking, hey, there's got to be a better way. And I love camping. I'm an outdoorsy kind of guy. And I don't know, it just kind of clicked in my head that I should do something with these big cargo carriers that people carry when they travel in the summer with their families. And I say, because they're really a pain to put up in a car, a pain to store, and then a pain to take your stuff in and out of it. So I thought that it just started like that, an idea, like a light bulb turning on. Think of a way to easily, hook that up in your car and easily take it off. And then it evolved into, what we have here in front of you. And then, of course, being as a sales engineer, I knew that it had much more potential than just, car top carrying.
And so you decided one day, I'm just going to start a company making, how did you even, what these things are, you might want to pick one up and just show us.
Yeah.
One of these things, this is like a fastener,
this
right?
This is a fastener.
A fastener.
Actually, okay, what this is a fastener. It's an industrial fastener. Okay, the industrial fastener market is $54 billion a year. 54 billion. 54 billion with a big B. And it's segmented. That's the fastener part, not anything to do with what we have here, car top carrying. Now, they're segmented like rivets, nuts and bolts, stuff like that.
Anything that attaches.
Anything that attaches, but industrial. But this segment belongs to precision metal fastener in its current form. I say in its current form because it can also be plastic. The EO2 fastener can be plastic. Right now, it's an aluminum extrusion. Okay. It's a really rigid fastener, but it's got the same principles as Velcro, easy on, easy off. But if you try to peel it apart, literally like this particular size, literally takes, I've hung 300 pounds on it like this. I ran out of weights and it still didn't fail. So that's how it goes. So Anyway, this being a precision industrial fastener, that segment is $17 billion in itself.
And what are some examples of how this might be used in an industrial setting, like something like that? What would they...
In an industrial setting, you can use it for fixturing. For instance, I sold automation. As products coming down the line, you want it to be set in a particular location before the robot starts working on it.
Right.
And sometimes products are this size, sometimes products are this size, so they have different set positions. So you could actually, in an industrial application, you could snap fixtures on and off the line, instead of using nuts and bolts, your traditional nuts and bolts, which takes a lot longer time than just snapping it on and on. Another application in an industrial application would be a car battery.
A what?
A car battery.
A car battery.
The car battery right now has a tub. So basically I would replace that tub with this. Okay, and a car battery takes about 20 seconds to assemble, to put on. So you put the battery on there, and you got some hooks, and you got a strap, and then you turn those thumb things. That takes about 20 seconds. And then when you put the lead terminal strips or the cable, car battery cable, that takes about another 10-15 seconds. So you're taking a look at 30 seconds of assembly time, which, depending on which accountant you talk to, that could be, $1,000, could be $5,000, could be $10,000 worth of labor. Okay, so basically in this idea, you would replace that with this, the tub. Okay, this is anodized aluminum. In anodized aluminum, electricity does not bridge across. So you would put a copper strip there, put a smaller cable directly to the electrical system. So now that becomes the battery tub. Okay, so instead of 50 cents, now it's $1.50, except for the car battery is about $7. Okay, so now $7, $7.50, and this is $1.50. So I really have a savings of $6, real savings. That's huge when you multiply that by 11 million or 17 million vehicles in the US per year. Okay, now the rub is you have to redesign the battery. The batteries are made out of separate components of plastic, and then they're fused together. Okay, so you would just make the bottom part of the battery with this shape, right here, and then you would put copper terminal strips there. So when you assemble the battery, instead of 30 seconds, it's 1 second.
Just one snap.
One snap. So what you save there is you save $6 in real savings, 30 seconds in labor time, okay, plus the cable weighs about 2 pounds. That's huge in automotive speak. So right now they're scrambling for grams, to save weight on a car. They're looking for grams, exactly. They're looking in years, 2 pound savings, 30-second savings, and $6 in cost. Should be a no-brainer, but I'm a startup company. I finished development basically August 2010. We launched the initial prototype in January 2009.
How did you come up with the idea?
Like I said, I had one of those bad moments. But I came with it.
Did you just start sketching it out?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you?
Started sketching it out, shared it with some close friends, an inventor of mine. And this was actually back in 2006. I don't remember.
And then went out and got your patent pending to protect?
No. Well, I talked to my inventor friend, and he has a product called Sand Grabber. It's the original one, fixes umbrellas in the sand, keeps it from blowing up to 30 knots, testing and everything. And when I first approached him on this, I wanted him to be a partner, and he says, "Richard, that's huge. It's too big." And he says, people...
Too big in what sense?
Well, when you're just a normal guy and you make an invention, there's always
people are going to come after you.
They're going to come after you. It happened to him. His was a smaller market. His is not in the billions. It's not even in the hundreds of millions, but yet he's had people that have tried to duplicate his patent.
Right.
But he gave me some advice, and one of the advice he gave me was he made his patent so narrow, it was easy to circumvent some of the claims that he made. So, at least his advice is, I made my patent broad and more conceptual than, limiting it to particular dimensions particular angles, particular design. It's more of the idea of what the EO2 fastener does. So anyway,
Is it more like a process, or is it really
No,
the design?
no,
It's
no.
a design patent.
No, it's not a design patent. Is art. Okay, so it's a non-provisional full utility patent, and it's based on a concept. So basically, there's a relationship between this side, which has a hook. Okay, and you know, notice that you can't bend that, right?
No, God, this is really light.
It's light. It's aluminum. It's
Yeah.
light, but it's twice the thickness of a traditional bleachers, and it's made like a bleacher. So for
That's what it reminds me of, bleachers at, at high
exactly,
school. Yeah.
it's made in the same machine as a bleacher. It's an extrusion, comes out 200 feet, and then you chop it up into pieces, and then you anodize it, you bake it, and whatnot. So anyway, for that to happen, there's a secret ingredient, and basically what that secret ingredient is, there's a polymer inside the hook side. You know, in mechanical engineering, hook means that nothing can come off of that.
Right, right.
Unless you destroy that hook.
Right.
Okay. Well, and then on the opposite side of the hook, there's a cam. And a cam is designed so that things can go in one way, and then virtually impossible to take it out any other way except for that one way.
The way it came in, okay.
Okay. So basically, what I have here is an easy on, easy off locking mechanism with no moving parts. You know, it's, you know, one of the sayings in engineering and science is, you know, the more simpler the design for it to work, the more elegant it is and the more beautiful the design is. So anyway, in its simplicity in 2005, 2006, whenever, I don't remember when, it's been such a long time, I thought it was so simple that even the people that did the car top market, it's $1 billion industry, Tara, just between the two top players in that industry. You know, it's $1 billion in business annually. They
It's hard to
spend
believe.
they spend millions of dollars in R&D every year. So here I am, you know, no engineering budget. I'm thinking, this is so simple that you know, that they must have thought of it. Okay, so I shelved the idea for 2 or 3 years. You know. Plus my other inventor said, this is so big, you're not going to keep it from the big guys, you know, and blah 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 and all that stuff. So I didn't press forward. I kind of toyed around with it. I made this prototype right here. This is like one of the initial prototypes I made. I toyed around with it with some engineering friends of mine, but I didn't do anything with it. But there was a triggering event, and what they say is when there's a big recession, more companies and more millionaires are created during that downtime because it forces a lot of
Innovation.
a lot of innovation, a lot of innovative people out of their comfort zone to do something else. And that's basically where I was. I said, hey, I had this idea. I see that in my customer base, I'm in Michigan, right? In Michigan, in the last, I don't even know whatever, in the last several years, we've lost 1 million jobs. And most of those jobs are engineers or manufacturing. So I'm looking at my customer base in Michigan, dwindling and dwindling and dwindling, and said, and then I had another one of those aha moments. I kind of like to think that, I kind of mentioned, when I had one of those moments, I kind of like to talk to my creator. So whatever you want to call it. And that's when the idea popped up, and then again it popped up again and says, do something with that idea. So I started my own patent search. Google has a nice, patent search that's connected directly to the U.S. Patent Office. And I also use the U.S. Patent Office as well.
I find their site is horrible. I was on it last night.
Yeah,
I cannot stand that site.
Terrible. The U.S. Patent Office is terrible,
good.
but the Google one is much more user friendly. So I
didn't know Google had that.
Oh yeah, there's a Google patent site.
Okay.
Okay, so it's much more friendly. So I spent about, I don't know, a month or two researching it, and then with my satisfaction, I found out there was nothing like it. And then with
Then
that,
did you go get a patent?
not yet, not yet.
Not yet.
So there's different
Like-
steps. So what I did was I paid an attorney, a patent attorney, to do a patent search. Okay, so that's you have to do your due
Right.
diligence because it costs quite a bit of money to
Yeah,
do
for the
full
filing.
plans. Yeah. So and that was basically I did my own patent search in the end of '08, and then in the beginning of '09. That's when I got a friend of mine, Mike Martin. He's my original partner, and hence the name of the company, Ray Omar. It's a combination of both our names. We did a patent search with a regular attorney. We paid him, and it says, yeah, you know, you're good to go. You should be able to patent this idea. And then we built another prototype, not that one right there, but another prototype. Instead of an extruded aluminum, we machined it. The bottom part was made out of stainless steel instead of aluminum. And so we made that before I did my provisional patent, which is the next step. I wanted to make sure this thing doesn't fly off the car.
Right.
So-
And you were really I
Right.
mean, you were focused on that car market, right? That
I
was your
focused-
focus.
My
on
initial
the car
focus
market.
was that because I'm familiar with that.
Right.
I used to be in 82nd Airborne. I used to jump out of planes, so I'm familiar with these cases. We put sniper rifles and night vision goggles.
Did you
and
jump
these
out
kind of-
with these things?
No.
In a parachute of
you
their
throw
own?
this. You throw these in vehicles that
With all the gear.
with all the gear, and they're just dumped in the corner, or you bungee cord it, or you strap it down, or
Okay.
whatever. And then as a sales engineer, I also carried some of my more delicate instruments or sample cases in cases like these. So I was familiar with it. Then of course, being an outdoorsy guy, I love to camp. I used to carry those big cargo boxes on top of my car. I used to have a Yakima system when the kids were younger.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it was really a pain to put it up there. As a matter of fact, the way I put it up there, and I'm a little bit of a different parent, I would put the case up on top, and I would throw my two little kids inside the case, and then they had a U-bolt, and I would put the U-bolt, and I'd have them put the thumb screws on there. And they had fun, and it was a lot easier for me to do it. So yeah.
You want to show us some of the pictures, because some of the pictures
Oh,
that you
yeah.
brought actually
Yeah.
show this in use.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that viewable? Is the glare okay on those?
This is the
That is.
this is the original car. Okay, that's the first car that I mounted the EO2 fastener
And
on.
those things are just, you have one side of this mounted to the car, and you just kind of slid the other piece in. Or
No,
snapped
it just
snapped
snaps on.
in, snapped it in.
Basically,
It's
know,
snapped on.
if you had the case, for instance, right there on the hitch mount, so that's just down on the hitch mount, and you would just snap it on just like that, and it's nice and secure.
Okay.
So this is the original Explorer. There's a big case right there. There's a couple of cases this size on there, and then there's a couple of cases here that are carry-on size cases, and then this is the same car with a different. There's a rifle case there, and then there's a different case. So the cool thing about this is,
Can you tilt it just a little bit forward because of the
Oh,
glare?
okay.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
yeah. So the cool thing is, with the same system, you can mount, that size case, that size case, and then that size case. And then I'll have a picture later on that you can mount it on the wall as well. And this is the original. This is the first customer. It's actually
First customer.
he put it in his Escalade. He wanted to go camping, and he just throws his stuff all over the place. And when you go camping, you get dirty, you get wet, and his duffel bag always got messed up. So he said, "Wow, Richard, that's a waterproof, crush-proof case." So he went camping. So he bought two. He's a shareholder as well, so he bought two, one for him, one for his dad. He goes camping with his dad. Okay, and then this is the original car that I used for the first video that I shot. It's more theatrical, spy team. This is a friend of mine's Hummer. So it's just showing that, and then there are different type of crossbars or luggage racks that you can mount it to. It doesn't have to be the one that I have. This is a Saturn, and again, that's a factory OEM luggage rack. And then this is HHR.
How are you attaching this to that thing, though?
Oh, good question.
They have holes drilled in them so you can.
There's that crossbar is a Yakima bar.
Okay.
I can say that because I'm also a Yakima dealer. They're very intrigued with this product, so they're supporting me by making me a dealer. And in this case, that came out of the factory. There's a factory luggage rack there,
Right.
and this has a factory luggage rack. And then what you would do is, in this bottom part of the rail, you would drop down a carriage bolt, and then you would mount it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
All right.
and what I actually used is Yakima makes a mount to go on their crossbar or on the competitor's crossbar or on the factory crossbar.
I see.
So
That's how you
I did not have to invent that. So I
Okay.
actually used, because I'm familiar with it, I actually used Yakima systems to mount this on the luggage racks.
Okay.
Okay. And then
Some more
this right
examples.
here, that's a smart car. I mean, absolutely no luggage. So this is actually at the smart car dealership in Bloomfield Hills, right down the road, and that's what they have as an accessory rack. Anyway,
Oh, and here's what is it?
and here's an ATV.
Cargo rack.
Yeah, this is actually a customer in Moab, Utah. Moab is known for people go there in their Jeeps and they try to go up the boulders, and
Right.
more often than not they tip over, but
Right.
hey, they keep going anyway. But they do a lot of off-road, and this guy found me on the internet and he says, hey, that's a cool product. I have a Pelican case, so I sold him the rails separately, and then he mounted it on the case that he had purchased, a Pelican case that he had purchased, and then he mounted it on this ATV. So he put it on his factory. That's a factory rack. So he attached my bottom rail there, and then
snapped it on.
Yep, and then the snap top rail goes in the bottom of his case like this, and then it just snaps on and off. Okay. And then here's an application I'm developing for the firefighter industry, and basically what it does is they have a rapid intervention team. The way they fight fires is, guys go into the building, fight the fire, and they're supposed to have a rapid intervention team that watches the firefighters, fight the fire. And their sole function is, if there's a man down situation, they extricate the man down. And so what they have to do is they lay down, how they do it now is they lay down a tarp and they throw all these extricating tools in there. Axes, picks, sledgehammers, Halligan tools, ropes, extra air tanks. It's over a couple 100 pounds of tools, and they lay it down in a tarp, and then in their personal turnout gear, which is what protects them from the fire, and their air pack, they got 70 pounds of equipment on them already. Okay, so the idea is, if there's a man down, they got to carry all these tools around and then take care of the man down. Well, that takes a lot of energy. By that point, you may have two men down instead of just one man down.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to take some of these cases and then containing all their gear in it, and then snapping it into an industrial hand truck, much more ergonomic. Because right now it takes a couple of guys, they're manhandling this. So with this tool, you can go up and down stairs, and then when you need the case, you can snap it off.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I know we only have a couple minutes left, so I might want to go through some of the other
Okay,
pictures.
and this
real quick.
one is just showing it, how the
that's
military uses it. They use it as a rifle case.
And that's a neat one.
And
where
then
you
this
can
is
see
my
the wall
display.
mount.
Yep.
So-
And you can see the wall mount, and then there's one right there that's upside down, and then there's that rapid intervention cart right there.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yep.
That'd be great, like for just equipment inside of a firehouse where you have stuff and you can just pull it, yank it off the wall.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
SWAT teams and EMS, they use these. Your ambulance, they put their first aid kits.
Are you selling this all? Are you selling this all out and about? Are you in full production? Are you?
I am full production, yeah, and yes and no. I'm selling out and about.
And you're producing it in Michigan, right?
Exactly,
Good for
exactly. This is coming out of AACOA. It's an extrusion company in Niles, Michigan. What I'm doing now since August 2010, initially I was going to market it directly out on the web, and I have an e-commerce site, and you can purchase it there. And in meeting some other business people that have mentored me in different ways, they said go business to business. So I have actually some big deals that are going on, and one of the first licensing agreement that I'm going to get is actually automotive packaging. Packaging. It's not an automobile, I can't say who it is, but a vehicle part. And the part's actually not going to be aluminum, it's going to be plastic, and that's just royalty. That's in the, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in royalty.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, so that's actually my first big customer.
That's great, and you only see more on the horizon, right?
No, I only see more. I have a solar panel roof integrated product in the horizon. The RIT cart's in the horizon. Actually, easy on, easy off armor. Talked to General Dynamics Land Systems, BAE, Navistar, Oshkosh Truck, and they're kind of interested in using the EO2. This part of it will be integrated into an armor plate, and then that's going to be on the vehicle, and you can snap on different armor systems as needed.
That's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
Pretty brilliant. Lots of different things going on there.
Thanks,
I know we just have a minute left, and I'd love to talk about this more because it's fascinating. What a neat company, and all these different things that all these different uses for what you've created. And you're a great Michigan inventor, which is really neat in doing business here in Michigan. One last question for you. What's your advice to entrepreneurs? Because you had this on the back shelf, brought it out of, back, and you have a company now because you pursued your idea. What's your advice?
My biggest advice is keep the passion alive. It's your baby, it's your product, it's your idea. Be passionate about your product, believe in yourself, and continue to press forward and do the research. Always do the research, always believe in what you've come up with, and press forward. Because that's, I think, I've read some books on other great men, anywhere from Bill Gates to the Colonel with Kentucky Fried Chicken to our own Mike Ilitch with Little Caesar's Pizza. A lot of people around them don't believe, but they kept the belief, and look where they're at now.
Well said. Thank you so much, Richard Rios.
Thanks, Tara.
Absolutely. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at www.michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.